Hello, First District of Texas. Congressman Nathaniel Moran here. We got something special. We've never done this before, but when we're now coming up to Memorial Day, we wanted to take a few moments to pause and talk with the chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee in Congress, Mike Bost. I'm going to introduce you to him, and then we're going to just have a casual conversation. I want you to hear from the horse's mouth, as it were, what's going on in the Veterans Committee and some of the great things you guys have been doing. So let me tell you, First District of Texas, a little bit about Mike Bost. He's the 15th chairman of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs. He himself is a Marine Corps veteran, having served from 79 to 82. He's a son, grandson, and nephew of veterans, the father and grandfather of 2 active duty Marines. Before Congress, he worked 13 years in the family trucking business and served as a firefighter while simultaneously serving in the Illinois State Legislature for 10 terms. You can tell he likes to work, and he likes to work even when it's tough. He led the VA's subcommittee on disability assistance and memorial affairs. He served as a ranking member of the full committee in the 117th Congress, and he became the chairman in the 118th. Key legislative wins include the Veteran Appeals Improvement and Modernization Act back in 2017, the Blue Water Navy Vietnam Veterans Act in 2019, and the Veteran Families Financial Support Act. He lives in southern Illinois with his wife Tracy, and they have 3 children, 11 grandchildren, not far actually from where my parents grew up in Effingham, Illinois.
Right.
So
Effingham's in my district.
That's right. So I love talking to you, Chairman Bost, not just because you're a great guy and a wonderful statesman legislator, but you also have a heart and a passion and a fight for veterans. I love that. And so, Chairman, let's talk a little bit about your work and what's coming up here with veterans bills in the future.
This week, we have the Riley-Edmonds Act. Let me explain this to you. So if the Riley, the people that are named here, the widow of Riley, if you watched Black Hawk Down, the pilot that died, this is his widow. Wow. And she receives those benefits that widows and orphans and their children do. And then the Edmund is Eric Edmund. Edmund had his vehicle blown out from underneath him in 2005, where he received a ruptured spleen, a broken back, was actually had the heart stop for 20 minutes. With that, he became one of our most severely disabled veterans. And so what we have done is so both these groups have not received a benefit increase except for the COLA in over 3 decades.
Oh, wow. And
so what we're doing is we've searched and got offsets that were necessary to provide for. Let me say this. So if you're a family member and you have lost your spouse, what it was intended to do was provide those revenues that spouse would have provided to your family. And a 3% COLA is one thing, but the fact is that after not having an increase, because those COLAs don't keep up.
They don't.
And so this actually increases. By no means does it catch them up completely, but it makes things just a little bit better for them. But then when we start talking about Eric Edmund and his family, when the family has to work 24 hours a day to provide for your every need, these are the true veterans that VA was created for. And the expenses that go along with that are, look, even though we provide a certain amount cost of modifying a home to make sure that that person that you're taking care of can move in and out around the home and do the most things that they possibly can under their condition with your help. Also then the transporting, even though we provide vehicles, sometimes those modifications are more than what we provide.
Yeah.
Also, when you look at the day-to-day needs of these veterans, as I said, these are the ones that we really need to provide for. And we're going to be moving forward. Matter of fact, when we get done here, I'm going to Rules Committee to present the rule. Over the next 2 days, we'll be passing and working forward on this bill and another bill that's vitally important.
Yeah, and the other bill this week is H.R. 1041, the Veterans Second Amendment Protection Act. Tell us a little bit about that bill.
Well, let me tell you that a lot of people don't even realize this was occurring. I didn't realize it until I came to Congress. When I came to Congress, I actually had veterans at my own American Legion tell me why it is that they were not using the VA services. And let me explain this to you. ever since the passage of the Brady bill. Now think about how long ago that was. It was over 30 years ago, after Ronald Reagan had been shot, and then Brady moved forward with the legislation. The interpretation of the attorneys through the VA and through the Department of Justice said that if a veteran receives a fiduciary, someone to help them with their books. It could be because they have physical problems. It could be because they have mental problems. It could be that they're just having trouble getting things done, and they can actually request it on their own. But once they have and receive a fiduciary, they are already automatically reported to the NICS list, and they remove their Second Amendment right.
Oh, that's horrible.
Now think about this. They remove their Second Amendment right. So in your country, in your area, in my country, that flyover country that everybody talks about, having your Second Amendment right to take your grandchild hunting or your child hunting, or to take and protect your own home, or all of those things that you feel are vitally important, they can be snatched away from you without due process.
Yeah, just because you have a fiduciary, which doesn't mean you're incompetent or anything like that. Sometimes, as you said, you just need a little help.
Without due process.
That's right.
So what we're doing by having this in place, and what we're trying to do is get rid of this, and this is what we're doing with this bill this week. So now let me tell you that the last 3 years we've been able to circumvent this from happening over the last 3 years by using the Milcom, or by using the budget, so that there could be no money transferred from VA to the NICS department, to the FBI. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got around it that way, but we need to make it permanent so that another administration comes in, they can't easily go back to this. Yeah. So we're going to be able to change that this week, but let me explain to you how upsetting this can be. We have people in our district that refuse to go to the VA because they've heard while they're at the Legion or the VFW or whatever that people had their Second Amendment rights removed without due process. Now let me tell you this though. If you are a non-veteran and all of a sudden you get your Second Amendment rights removed, it has to have due process. Someone has to say, right, you're a danger to yourself or a danger to others. Then it has to go before a court, and a judge who deals with these things every day can make that decision. A veteran, if they get a fiduciary, doesn't get that. This will make sure they get that due process. It doesn't mean they can't have that right removed, but they have the same. Why in the world would we take the right away from the person who defended your rights in the first place?
That's right. Yeah.
And so those are two issues, two bills that we're dealing with right now. It's going to be a very, very busy week. Like I said, I'll go before the rules to be out both those. I think we're going to be dealing with the first bill tomorrow, and then the next bill on Friday before we leave.
Those are two great bills, and so proud to support those bills with you this week, and thankful that you guys are leading and looking at these issues as they come up to say, hey, we've got to serve and support those veterans that did indeed fight for the rights that we know came from God, right, and that we've got to protect generation after generation. I know Memorial Day is coming up, and it carries a special weight for you.
It does.
Not just as chairman of the VA committee, but as a Marine Corps veteran. Tell us a little bit about what it means to you personally, and what do you hope every American takes away from it?
Let me tell you that this Memorial Day, I want people to remember that, hey, go and have your barbecue, go and have a time with your family, go to the lake, enjoy it in the pool. This is a kickoff to summer, but remember why we have Memorial Day. Now, Memorial Day has been around a long time, and it's kind of personal to me. Well, it's personal to me because I'm a veteran, okay, and having the family of the veteran. But also, those of you that know the history of a guy by the name of John A. Logan, who we recognize out here, his farm was subdivided to make my hometown. My great-grandmother bought the lot where the house I was born and raised in sat from General John A. Logan's dad.
Wow, that's great history.
But General John A. Logan created the first veteran service organization after the Civil War. He was involved with the Grand Army of the Republic, and his 11th General Order as the Commandant of the Grand Army of the Republic said that we, on the 28th day of May, will remember those who had bore the battle, who had died and are now buried in every hamlet, every village, every city across this great nation, where we should strew their graves with flowers and decoration to remember what the service that they gave to this nation. That was the start of what is now today's Memorial Day. The first one was held in Carbondale, Illinois. And now it is a national holiday which we celebrate every year. But it is vitally important to every one of us as veterans to know and understand those people that we've seen go before us that serve to give us the freedoms. So on Memorial Day, we can go to the lake, we can go have that barbecue, and we can do that, and nobody's going to take that from us.
That's a powerful story. I remember my first year here in Congress, went with a number of veterans down to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and hand washed that black granite memorial. One of the things that I love about telling that story, and the reason why it's that black, it's not the white marble you normally see around Washington, D.C., is that the designer of that memorial made sure that it was almost as though it was a mirror, so that when you look into it, after it's been washed, you see your face in there, and you don't just see the names of those that gave everything. And they're listed chronologically, as you know. It doesn't matter if they were a general or a private, they gave all, every one of them. But to look at that memorial and to see your reflection and to be challenged with the question, what are you willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to do to perpetuate the freedoms and the liberties that we have? And to see the sacrificial names on that wall and to say, how much am I willing to sacrifice? It's a real challenge.
Well, let me tell you that day, because I was with you that day, then Congressman Paul Cook, who was a full bird colonel all during Vietnam and part of Korea and then Vietnam, who actually was my commanding officer, who I served with here in Congress. I went down with him that day, and he had 3 legal pad sheets of names of people who had fell beside him or under his command. And I sat beside him that morning while he scrubbed and cried.
Wow.
Because let me tell you that what you just said about you've got to realize who these people, each one of these people were somebody's child.
That's right.
Somebody's husband. But they put it on the line. And you know what? The politics of the time, the Vietnam War, our Vietnam vets were treated terrible back then. And I was around during that. And the thing is, they didn't know the politics of the war. They just knew they were serving their country.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Don't try to weigh the politics in. Understand the sacrifice of the individual.
And honor it by a lifetime of service in our own personal lives. I love that message, Chairman. Chairman, I represent about 42,000 veterans in East Texas, many of them in rural communities without full service, without a full service VA hospital or anywhere in the district. They either got to go to Shreveport's really the closest. When I think about a bill like the Briley-Edmondson Act and what it means for our Gold Star families and our most catastrophically disabled veterans, my question is, how do we make sure these expanded benefits actually reach the families in place in rural areas like East Texas or Southern Illinois who may not know they're even eligible?
Well, first off, let me tell you this. We as the VA have been working ever since I've been here to make sure that people don't have to automatically go to the VA to receive those services. Your VSWs and those things, all your veteran service organizations will tell you about services that are available to you. However, now over the last several years, and it started with the Choice Act, we modified it again with the Mission Act, and now we're going to modify it again with the Access Act, which I'm now carrying, and that is that you as the veteran and the person that is receiving the care, working with your doctor, can receive the care where and when you need it. You don't have to travel long distances to go to the VA.
That's fabulous.
You can do it at the local level. The problem is sometimes there are bureaucrats in the VA that believe when we pass laws here, those are suggestions. And quite often we've caught them, especially in the last administration, choosing to try to find a way around referring them out into the community care. We don't want to privatize the VA, but we do want to make sure and understand, remember, our VA and the programs they provide were not created for bureaucracy. They were created for the veterans, and we need to make sure our jobs as members of Congress to make sure that that's delivered that
I
way.
love your passion. I hope this comes out in the audio as people listen to this, the passion you have to fight for veterans and to stand with them. Last question, and we'll kind of end with this, is what should veterans expect to see coming out of the Veterans Committee? You guys have already had some great wins. You're going to have some good wins this week. We had Milcon VA appropriations passed for the next fiscal year already, and it looks to be a great bill. We've really plugged into to veterans and our active military a lot in the last couple of years, and invested a lot more into them. But what can they expect to see in the coming months or years, or what final message do you have for them?
Our final message is exactly what I said just a while ago. Everything we're doing is we're working towards the benefit of the veteran to get them the benefits they need as easily as they can receive them without hassle of bureaucrats trying to either slow that process down or do what it is sometimes at government overreach. We want to make sure that our veterans receive the care that they need, and we're remembering that the VA is created for the veterans.
That's great. Chairman Mike Bost, thanks for taking time
Daniel,
to
thank
speak
you.
with me today. Illinois' 12th District is served well by you. Our veterans are served well by you, and it's an honor to serve alongside you as a colleague. Thank you so much.
It is with you, Nathaniel. Thank you.
Thanks.